Worried about us. Worried about the Jets.
Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm joined by my two close friends, Ray Clifford and Ralph Schrager. Ray is out in Ohio and Ralph is up in Massachusetts. And we're recording this at, I guess it's 5:23. It's Sunday, the 15th, and it's about, I don't know, about an hour and 10 minutes after the Jets just eked out a win over the Tennessee Titans 24-17. And Ralph, I'm going to start with you because I said, my son was there. I said, if they get a pick six, Ralph and I picked the winning score 31-17 at the end.
I saw some other guy in a comment pick 31-17 too. I don't know. That's the number. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that was not a 31-17 game. That was more like a 24-24 game.
It was. So I just Ray, how you doing? I know you were at the bar.
Oh yeah, well,
good crowd.
Great. After that, exciting and fun to win, but not a great performance. But we were on the right side of it, so
not a confidence booster. Let's
no,
put it that way.
No, definitely not.
Right, and we'll go over a number of things, but I just want to point out, to me, there is, if you had to pick one hero, to me, it's Irv Charles. And
Irv Charles.
I plead guilty because I said like 2 or 3 shows ago that we shouldn't waste an extra, or I said all NFL teams shouldn't waste an extra roster spot on a guy that just does special teams, but he was outstanding. He was like 2 great tackles, as Ray is having some audio problems. 2 great tackles. Then he blocked the punt, and I guess the blocked punt turned into a touchdown. Right?
No, it turned into a field goal. They really messed it up. That was one of those typical plays where go for it right on that first. The team is reeling, and they just don't. He just will never do that. It's just he doesn't have a good feel for going after the jugular. This guy, it's just pathetic.
It's like run, pass, and we're going to
get offensive coordinator.
Right. We'll get into that. I just want to.
Which makes you wonder, Ray, if it's the coordinator or if it's Saleh giving his input. Because I know Saleh wants the Jets to be a team that's a physical team and runs it down their throat. But there are other ways to set up the run. You can set up the run with a pass sometimes. He won't do that. He just and it just doesn't work this way.
Yeah, that's true. And I want your reaction, Ray, in a second. The other thing is, besides Irv Charles, there were a lot of turning points, but I thought one of the biggest ones was the roughing call that we finally got on Simmons. It was on a 3rd down play, and I think that extended the drive, and we did score a touchdown on that.
Yeah, then was that the one where he threw to Wilson?
That was huge because as far as penalties go, we were like a penalty machine, like in the first quarter. And unfortunately, and I don't know if Jet fans have heard, but I think it's confirmed that Jermaine Johnson tore his Achilles. So he's out, and this puts a lot of pressure on the Hassan Reddick situation.
Oh, boy, does it ever. But with a 4-day week, I don't even know if that would be enough time.
I don't know. And I was looking at the stats I'll get into, and Ray, I maybe you could tell me, and I want your reaction to the game, but they credited, Will McDonald had 1 tremendous sack, but they credited him with 3 sacks.
I don't know about the 3rd one. I know I saw 2.
The first one was like a cleanup one where he was scrambling forward.
That was on the first drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, first or second drive, and McDonald was there, and I don't remember the second one either. So,
but whatever it is, he played better, I think, than we would have thought.
I watch him a lot, and he is, going to get his sacks, but I don't think he's a 3-down lineman right now.
Okay, all right, and I don't know, Ralph, your guy Tack McKinley, he does some nutty things.
No, he's not that good, but I can't stand Clemens. He's out of position all the time. He's ineffective, and we're stuck with him because there's a numbers game now. There's nobody left.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Ray, give me your reaction to the game. We're all dying to hear it.
Well, I mean, I had said in the last podcast it was going to be a big bounce back for our offense, but I thought they'd open it up more than they did. It was pretty vanilla as usual with the running, and they did in the second half. They did kind of open things up a little more. But I'm still expecting way more out of this offense. And then as far as the defense, I thought Saleh said something about getting the defensive line fixed. I guess he means maybe next game because they ran all over us again.
They're still doing those bizarre formations where they got guys all the way on one side, and it doesn't seem to be working too well. Yeah, I agree with you. I think
missed tackles, penalties. I mean, this team needs to be a lot more consistent. And
that play at the end where Will Levis got out of, I don't know how that. I was going to jump out of my window on that one.
You know, it's funny. You combine that play with that reverse last week to Deebo Samuels when they had him dead to rights behind the line. They look so bad on that stuff. It's just unbelievable what happened. How he slipped out of that, I don't know. Go ahead, Ray. Continue.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, there were several plays. Personally, though, I thought some guys did play better. Tony Adams might be the best safety we got because Chuck Clark is not working out.
Oh, no, he's not working out at all. Next up, Isaiah Oliver. Let's see.
Catch we'll see all over Sports Center by Ridley. It wasn't on Sauce. I know people are saying Sauce slowed down. Chuck Clark could have easily either tipped it or intercepted it, but he didn't dive for one. It was an easy knockdown, and he.
Well, I don't know why Sauce didn't look back. At that point, he had to know that the ball was on its way.
I think they both share some guilt, and the announcers were at a good point. Technically, it should have been down at the 1 yard line.
It definitely should have. Yeah. But they would have probably scored.
They were supposed to review them all, but apparently they did a real quick one on that one and didn't.
I think the Jet people were not on the ball on that one either.
But I'll just go through it quickly as things come up. We'll talk about them. In the first quarter, they went ahead 7-0, and our offense. I thought the whole game, except for a few plays, I shouldn't say that. I mean, he made some really gorgeous passes. Aaron Rodgers, about 4 or 5 gorgeous passes, but he seemed out of sync the whole game. And everything from getting the team ready on the line of scrimmage to just planting his foot and throwing. I know there was one play, in fact, that stood out where he probably should have had it, Lazard, on the right side as a quick pass. But the way he threw it, it wasn't even that good of a pass. So
no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
he was doing his short pass Zach Wilson imitation, and I just won $50.
Yeah, Ruckert would have had 2 or 3 catches. Well, 2 of them, both were at his shoes. The one he overthrew him, I think Ruckert slowed down at the goal line instead.
I think that still would have been a tough one.
It would have been. It was high, but if he'd have kept going, he had a shot at getting his hand.
If it was Garrett Wilson, he could have probably caught that one. But
Garrett made some nice catches. And how about that first catch of Mike Williams' Jet career?
Big, very big.
When you count, and Ray, you're good at remembering, you had the Mike Williams catch and even the pass. You had the Breece Hall pass.
And Garrett Wilson had a nice one.
Wilson. Those 3 were like highlight films, too.
Yeah. That tells you how catchable of a ball that Rodgers throws. Because Zach would have thrown that, and who knows if it would have gotten to him even. Or
I think Rodgers, even though he's physically better, I don't think he's going to be himself until a few more games, maybe. I still can see there's certain tentativeness, and it's got to be in the back of his mind. I think that will get better each week, and I think his passing accuracy will get better. The thing that drives me nuts is, though, every pass he's got to throw has got to be a perfect pass. The Jets never get any separation. What the heck?
I don't understand this. It's not like we have a bunch of lead-footed guys.
No, the other teams are always at least a half a dozen plays, but they're wide open over the middle.
How many times are we going to let the tight end be like open by 5 or 10 yards on a third down?
Every week. I wonder if it's the pass route schemes. I wouldn't put it past their offensive.
Confused sometimes, and it just doesn't. I mean, most of these guys have been together. I'm like, why are you guys not on the same page?
He had one play. I don't know what down it was, but it was an empty backfield, and he had a lot of time for once. and he couldn't find anybody with an empty backfield. Everybody out there, he couldn't find anyone. It's like, that's ridiculous.
He was looking all over the place, and but all in all, I mean, we had some nice plays. I mean, that Braylon Allen was 2 really good. That first touchdown, was it the touchdown that he had when he kind of flipped it to him?
Yeah.
That was a nice one. And then the deep ball to Brees was beautiful. I mean, he made some nice throws.
Yeah. That was a nice catch by Hall too, for a guy who's not a wide receiver. The thing about Allen also had a couple of 3rd and shorts that he got, and God knows if they ever put Brees Hall out there again for that kind of play, they should be fired immediately.
Right. And I just want to review the score. We'll go quickly. We deferred, and Tennessee got the ball. They went down the field on their first drive. Was that right?
No, I don't think it was their first drive.
The first drive was a 3-and-out when they got
first drive
was sack.
First drive was a 3-and-out, and then I guess we had a 3-and-out also, or did we?
I'm sure we did. Yeah. Well, maybe we got a first.
No, we got one first down.
Yeah.
And then we punted the ball. There was a holding penalty on Tony Adams, which wasn't great. And then there was a run by Spears, 7 yards, which Chuck Clark misread that. I mean, the guy got an extra 4 yards, and that drives me crazy. It's just his angle. It was just unbelievable.
It was, I forget who, I think it was Quentin Williams who missed him by a shoestring at the line of scrimmage.
Right. There was one. By the way, there's one play. Quincy Williams had tremendous pass coverage too.
He had it in a couple of plays. He was everywhere. He's the best player on the team as far as I'm concerned right now.
I don't know. I think Morstead is. That's
That's true. He's pretty good.
They ended up scoring Ridley on I guess it was the sweep. And
they went down the field and picked them apart. It was pathetic.
Oh yeah, and I think that was the drive where I heard Ray screaming. Was that when Jermaine Johnson on 3rd down got called for roughing the pass?
Yeah, the roughing the pass. I don't know if that's the one, but that was a horrible call.
Yeah, that's the sissifying of the NFL. That he hit him in the shoulder, in the chest, high. I mean, come on, it's just impossible.
He hit him illegal. It wasn't a late hit. It was a
no. They thought he was too close to his helmet. He didn't hit him in the face.
Right. And I just want to point out, and I thought the guy doing the color was very good, except on that play, when they showed it, he said, "Oh look, yeah, and it's up by the head, but the helmet, but it wasn't really. It was below it.
It doesn't mean head.
Yeah, I know. By doesn't mean he didn't."
They
should got to give these guys a little bit of leeway. It's ridiculous.
They should have showed.
And he seems to be the one that always gets nailed. He gets bad penalty calls all the time. Well, not for the rest of the year. He won't.
Yeah.
They should have had. They should have showed in slow motion, but they never do that stuff anymore. It's just incredible. Second quarter, we scored a touchdown, and they scored a field goal, and a couple of things in the second quarter. I had a note that Solomon Thomas made a couple of good plays.
Yeah, he did. He made a few good plays, and Kinlaw wasn't half bad either.
Kinlaw wasn't half bad, which I was happy to see. And our touchdown, and finally, Ray and Ralph, I think they listened to our podcast, was a nice flip pass to Braylon Allen, who, man, that guy gets up steam. I'm even watching.
Nobody's arm tackling that dude when he gets up steam.
Right, yeah. So I guess it was 7-7. Then they went down and they got a field goal, which never should have happened.
Yeah. The thing about Braylon Allen, I telling people since we drafted him, he's not just a power runner. And I think people are going to realize that they should use him in other situations too, not just on these short down things.
Right. I'll tell you, the first quarter and a half, I got a text from our biggest fan, Rob August. And he said something to the effect is, don't the Jets know that the game's not at 4 o'clock, it's at 1 o'clock? Which is like, I said, I know what you mean. Yeah. But anyway, I made a couple of notes. I thought, could you guys ever remember when the Jets did a hurry up offense?
I think they did it a little last week, a few plays.
I'll tell you why,
but they should do it more.
The Titans have a good defensive line. and I'm assuming it was a hot day down in
Yeah.
Tennessee. And they got this guy, DeAndre Sweat, who's like 345, 350 pounds. I would have tried getting him winded right away. I don't know why they don't try these things.
They're not very creative. Let's just put it bluntly. It's pathetic.
But
And
Ralph, why doesn't Rodgers
I don't understand what the relationship is. I really don't. All I know is it's the same crap we've seen for 3 years. So Rodgers wasn't here for the last 2 years. And, Zach Wilson, we ragged on him, and a lot of it was his fault, but some of it was not his fault, clearly. This team their offensive design sets you up for failure. It just puts you in bad situations every series. They're always having to get these 3rd and 7s, and Rodgers sometimes just fits one into Wilson. And you can't do long drives like that, and they just get into a hole every goddamn time.
Yeah. I think you only threw a couple of deep ones anyway. I mean,
no, he can't get the ball more than 10 yards down the field. It's just it seems like he doesn't have the time. He's not comfortable in the pocket. They got a lot of work they have to do. They got a long ways to go, this team.
They actually do. And the other thing is it was 10-7. I got to get on Robert Saleh. I don't know why. And it ends up they scored a field goal, but I'm screaming after the second down. They stopped him. I said, call timeout. And he waited like 15 seconds. And it turned out that they got it first time they got the field.
Yeah, I didn't trust the defense. I had no problem with that because I didn't think the defense was going to stop them.
I want another shot. I always want to be.
Well, of course, if the defense stops them, yeah.
But
yeah.
But it's 10-7 at halftime, and CJ Mosley went out with a bad toe. I can't see how he's going to be ready for Thursday. But I want to ask Ray a question, and Ralph, you could chime in. The Jets linebackers, do you think they're faster with or without CJ Mosley, like when they have Surratt, Sherwood, and Quincy Williams?
I think they're a little faster, but I'm not sure fundamentally they're as good, as far as reading the defense and having guys in the place they're supposed to be. I still like Mosley being on the field, but yeah, I think they're faster. Mosley's never been, a speedster by any means, but I thought the linebackers actually played fairly decent. It was the defensive line to me that really concerned me, and again the run. And you said this team has a long way to go, and they do a long way to go, and not a long time to get there. So
no, I mean, the way it is now, there isn't a game on their schedule where we can say this is a win. Every game is going to be an adventure for them. I think they're going to
Stevenson, and he's if we can't stop him, he's going to have a field day.
They also have Antonio Gibson, who had a big game today.
By the way, Michael Clemens had one tackle today, and I don't think he was good at all. Tack McKinley had a tackle. If Tack McKinley could somehow turn it on like he did, Ralph, Jalen Holmes, he doesn't play on the outside, does he?
I think he has, but I think, it would only probably be more on rundowns, a little John Franklin Myers type stuff. I know what you're thinking. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I got to get Michael Clemens off the field. He's just an ineffective player, and he's out of position. He just doesn't have enough talent.
And again, they didn't activate Leonard Taylor II, which to me is bizarre.
Annoying, really annoying. Braden McGregor, he got some snaps. He didn't do much either, good or bad.
He had one tackle. McGregor.
Yeah, but you know what? He might get better as the year goes on. I feel like the team is going to get. I think the offense. I'm comfortable that the offense will improve because I think Rodgers will keep settling down. The defense, I don't know. Something's changed from last year with this defense. It's not just personnel. It's some of these schemes that are just not working. And I don't know how long they're going to stick with. I think Tennessee clearly watched film from San Francisco and was doing some stuff like that too. And, Salah's theory on defense is, you just let them cut loose and all these defensive players. So we love playing like that. And I think teams are taking advantage of it by doing misdirection and keeping them off balance now.
Okay, I want to ask Ray. I mentioned it. I thought Solomon Thomas had a good game. He had a very nice sack up the middle. It was really a good move. But Ray, I want to ask you: do you think it's worth it to put Queen and Williams? Sometimes they move him at end, or just keep him where he is at the tackle spot.
I mean, I think it's okay to do it once in a while, but I wouldn't do it a whole lot. I mean, mixing it up so they can only get him one-on-one is more or less, or, if they want a second blocker, they're going to have to, use a tight end or running back to double team him, which will leave, I think
Right.
I think the guys inside are all better inside, but he's the type of guy that you can do that with once in a while, but I would never use him on the outside a lot. I mean, especially with the way teams are running on us pretty much up the middle and, and around the end too. But I mean, I'm just as disappointed by our fundamental tackling seems to be horrible at the moment. And just how these guys escape when they've got them, cornered or trapped, and they just end up
Yeah, they're just
breaking
not finishing.
Right.
up
Yeah.
the middle.
Ray, it reminds me because I'm last week I said I liked moving him a little bit, but I've gone full circle, and it's something Ralph said last year. I remember it drove Ralph crazy when at times they would drop Bryce Huff into coverage, and Ralph said, "Why are they doing that? Use him at his strength."
Mm-hmm.
And if Quinn Williams' strength is playing inside, then I say leave him there 99% of the time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know what.
Well,
Go ahead, Ralph.
yeah, Marty. It was either there was one play when Kinlaw broke through and he got held, and they called it. And if you watch that play, Quinton Williams was being double teamed and Kinlaw was just one-on-one and he got around the guy. And I don't know if the same thing happened with the Solomon Thomas thing or not, but that's what Quinton Williams can do if you just keep him inside. So yeah, I think you have to keep him inside.
I do too. And talking about holding again before he got hurt, I think it was the first half. Jermaine Johnson was.
Yeah, he was getting held again.
Oh my God!
The one time he's trying to reach the quarterback with one hand while the other guy's holding him.
I know. What is it about that guy that he can't get a call and they call everything on him? He's really it's jinxed, that guy.
And I want to ask Ray, because I heard Ray in New York from Ohio when they called roughing the passer and Jermaine Johnson. What were your thoughts there?
You already asked.
Then on the other side, if you saw the play that our quarterback ran out of bounds, he actually got pushed as he was out.
Twice when he went out, and then when he came back in, he pushed him again.
So Ray, do you think that was roughing the passer and Jermaine Johnson?
Oh, definitely not. It wasn't even close. And the whole bar went nuts, as a matter of fact, and it was even worse looking on the replay. It was bad enough, and when we were watching it, and then you see the flag come out, and I was like, they're calling roughing the passer. It was not. I could tell even in fast motion, he did not hit him in the head. They just, they see him get a hard hit, and immediately that flag comes out, and their excuse is, well, better to err on the side of safety. Well, first of all, the play's over with, so throwing the flag at that point doesn't save the guy from a bad hit anyway. The point is, was it a bad hit or not? And if it wasn't, I don't understand why they can't review that kind of stuff.
I thought they were going to, or are they reviewing pass interference now? I don't know. I can't keep track of these.
But it just seems to me you have guys up in the booth who could have easily seen that and said,
that particular roughing the passer call is.
As far as Rodgers, he was in bounds when he was pushed the first time.
He was pushed, but then when he came back out, Simmons pushed him again. I don't know why. It was so stupid of him.
I think Rodgers was saying something to him, so he shoved him. It looked like he was talking a little trash probably to him, but he wasn't out of bounds. He was both feet were still
right.
in.
Yeah,
and he didn't really shove him that hard. He shoved him. He's a bigger guy, and he gave him a good shove, but he didn't now if it was like one of these guys like Mahomes, he'd have flown to the ground and slid with his hands in the air like, oh my God, I got, destroyed.
Yeah, they don't want Rodgers doing that.
Yeah. No.
Now, on the other hand, when in the third quarter, when they called roughing the passer on Simmons and they showed it and you heard the sarcasm with the Tennessee fans, but if you looked at it, his hair was clearly wrapped around his face
He
mask.
took,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
at the very
it was
least
a
a face mask. What?
yeah. Just call it a face mask,
That's
whatever it was. Yeah,
automatic.
yeah.
It was
It's
automatic. He
automatic.
clearly grabbed it. It wasn't like he just hit it either. He grabbed it and pulled it down.
Right.
Oh well, fans will be
That was an
fans.
easy call. That wasn't even worth
But
arguing.
anyway, let's get back to the game, the third quarter, when we got the ball. I guess it was the first possession. It was a really nice 30-yard run by Hall, his best run of the game.
Oh yeah,
Brees
yeah.
Hall. It was beautiful. And that was right after the third down rough and the penalty on Simmons, which we just spoke about. And then 2 plays later, um, they split out Hall, which we spoke about at our last podcast, and Rogers threw it right where he had to throw it, where it was catchable. He made a great catch.
Yeah.
What was your reaction, Ralph, when you saw that play? And I want to hear from Ray how the bar went. Go ahead, Ralph.
Well, I was impressed with, like I said earlier in the show, the Hall catching. He's not a receiver; he is a running back, and that was a tough play. It was a perfect pass, and it was just a terrific catch. I watched it 3 times on the replay to see if he completed the whole thing. Catching the ball, hitting the ground, or whatever. And the ball did get a little loose, but he didn't let it hit the ground, because it would have been an absolute shame if they had called that one back. But hey, it was a great play. Hall started out slow as he usually does, because they set him up for failure all the time at the beginning of games. But once Ray and I convinced Hackett to get him to the outside, I mean, I can understand Hackett's only been in this game for like 30 years. It's going to take him a while to figure it out, and it's pretty obvious that this guy functions better on the outside.
Yeah. Okay, Ray. How'd the bar react when that play happened?
We went crazy. I mean, we were getting so frustrated with things, going into that point that, when they finally started moving the ball once in a while and getting things done, everybody was, super excited. And, everybody was kind of nervous. We were, like, this is not what we're expecting. So the score was huge, and it was, everybody went crazy. Same thing, with the one with Braylon Allen.
Right.
They just, everybody, and, everybody's like, where was he last week? I'm like, well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, just because he came in and made a couple plays right away, I think he just earned some more time during the game. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I think he'd have been in there as much as he was, but he was making things happen. And they were just like, we need a spark. And
Right.
he was it in a lot of ways on the offense.
I want to go through the rest of the third quarter. I want to circle back to that horrible Will Levis play that put us back in the game.
I want to just say one thing at this point in the game, Marty. It was in the middle of the third quarter, and they started doing these, delay of game things. And the first one was a delay of game, and Salah tapped his chest and said, "That's on me," meaning he should have called a timeout, which is like, no. And then about 2 minutes later, the same thing happened. He calls a timeout with like 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And it just 5 yards is just not worth a timeout at that point, in my opinion. It's just not. And Salah's going to burn them all if he keeps doing this,
To me, it was horrible coaching, probably on both sides. But in the third quarter, we traded 3 and outs, whatever. But then when they lined up to block on one of them, thank God Irv Charles gets in there and he blocks it. What a play, what a game he had. He's got to be the special teams player of the week. And then we ended up, as Ralph said earlier, we didn't score a touchdown. We scored a field goal. And then it was
a weak drive. When they started running the ball, when they should have gone right for the jugular. Rodgers is good at that stuff. He could have just, and they just never do that.
And didn't we get a penalty too? We were in good shape, and then somebody got a.
Well, what happened was
the sack.
Actually, Ralph, the idea wasn't that bad because we were running the ball. I just put it down when we got the ball after the block. First play was a 3-yard run by Hall. Second, an 8-yard run by Hall. The third play was a pass. Oh no, third play was a 4-yard run by Hall. And then we had the pass incompletion of Lazard. That was a weak throw and a bad effort. And then Ray's favorite play was the low pass on third down to Ruckert. And I guess, Ray, did you text if they could ever throw a catchable
Above
ball.
his
Project.
shoe
No,
top.
I said I texted that. This poor guy. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't care who you were. You weren't, that was him, like he had to pick it off his shoes twice. And then,
yeah, he's running the wrong way. It's just
yeah.
it gets impossible for the. Yeah,
And
I
it
think he'll
wasn't like
get better.
Rodgers was hurried. I was like, why, how are you throwing it that low? You made it go to the Zach Wilson throws.
He's been watching Zach film. Yeah.
As Ralph said, I guess he's not back up to par. We'll have to see. But when they got the ball, this was to me awful. Pollard got a 5-yard
So
run.
what's the score now, Marty?
Oh, Ralph, you're making it tough on me.
Well, I mean, you got me all confused. I don't know where you are.
It's 17-14 Jets.
Okay.
Or 17-10. I'm sorry, 17-10.
Oh, okay.
They get the ball. Pollard has a 5-yard run. Pollard stopped for, I guess he gets a 4-yard run. Then on 3rd and 1, Levis goes back to pass. And in my mind, I'm saying, oh, this is great. 3rd and 1, they're going back to pass. They have him cornered for like 40 guys. And somehow he gets
Or
out
at
of
least
it.
11.
It's unbelievable. And he runs for 21 yards. I just threw my hands up.
Nothing but green. How many times have we seen that in the last few years?
Last 50 years.
Patrick Mahomes did that, I think, 4 times in the game last year with the Jets on 3rd downs. He was just running. He didn't. Some of these quarterbacks, they have so much space, they don't know whether to slide or keep going or not. It's so funny.
Yeah, and it was just beyond belief. And then the drive continued, and then it ended up with actually it was 2 plays after that. Touchdown pass in the right corner of the end zone to Calvin Ridley. And we're kind of split on whose big fault it was. Ralph thinks it was definitely Chuck Clark. Ray thought that.
No. I think Sauce takes some of the blame because
Okay.
he never looked back.
Didn't look back. And how about you, Ray?
Well, first, I think you got drives mixed up. That was a heave.
Yeah, that was a long pass. That was not that drive.
And he wasn't in the end zone. He slid in. Remember, he slid in.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So,
That's true. It was under one. But then again, that was the play with both Chuck Clark and Sauce were in on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I saw it, and I don't know if I blinked, I thought Chuck Clark intercepted it.
I did too, and
I had no idea. The idea that the other guy caught it never would occur to me.
He started running around with his hands, and I'm like, "There's no way that didn't bounce."
Yeah.
But Ralph said that Sauce didn't turn around. Sauce is a great cover guy, but sometimes it seems like he's got a mental fart or something at the very end of a play, whether it's avoiding a tackle or doing whatever. I thought he should have been more focused on that play too. And I don't understand why, like Ralph says, why he didn't turn around. So, listen, there was another play on Sauce where Ridley, they said he dropped the ball. It was kind of through his hands. It wouldn't have been the easiest catch. Remember that play in the first quarter?
Yes.
Yeah, deep ball. He had him beat.
Right.
And Chuck Clark, I think they were doubled also. Clark had come over, I believe, on that one too. Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of the 3 quarters, it was 17-17. But I just want to circle back to the first quarter because the Tennessee Titans were driving, and I didn't see much about their game last week, but I heard how he made, or I think Ray told me, a back flip.
Last week, that against Chicago.
Was that they did that in the first or the second quarter today, Marty? Was that
I think they did it in the first quarter because I kept saying to myself, geez, they're going to have to come back from 14-0. I hope they get a field goal.
Oh, he tried to underhand it to the guy on that was like a few yards.
That was so stupid. That was just so he was like 2 inches from the ground. There's no way he could do anything accurately. It's like, man.
Even the coach was like, "What are you doing?"
Wilson used to do that when he was in his first year. So he's always trying to, like, as he was falling down, throw balls and stuff. It's like, oh my God, this guy 2 weeks in a row. Oh
yeah, I felt like Will Levis under pressure is maybe that'll change over time, but right now in his career, he doesn't handle that late pressure very well, and he just tries to dump the ball some weird way.
You know,
Against
they
Chicago,
could
trust
they could
me,
be 2-0 if take those 2 plays away in each game.
Well, not only that, but if you remember, it was back to back. His next play, he threw an interception to Eccles in double coverage.
Yeah,
he
So
just threw a deep one that didn't get.
I thought Eccles was close to interference on that play. They didn't call it, but he was kind of in his face.
talking about that, we're going to talk about. I want to ask you both on that last drive. How many times did Sauce Gardner get away with pass interference?
Sauce Gardner does 2 things: either he grabs a guy or he gives up a pass. I mean, I don't know. He's been getting away with this since he was a rookie, and I don't know why.
He got away with one in the end zone.
Yeah, I guess he's the reverse Jermaine Johnson. He gets away with everything, and Johnson gets away with nothing. It's like
Johnson gets called even when he doesn't do anything.
I know.
But yeah, he definitely had one in the end zone there on that last drive. Where he grabbed Ridley's jersey.
Although I'll say, Marty, I watched the last 5 minutes of the Raven Raider game, and there was a pass over the middle, and the defender had the guy's shirt. He had it pulled about 10 inches, and they never called it. The guy actually caught the ball, but you got to throw a flag. Maybe this is the new thing. You're allowed to grab a little.
They swallowed a whistle. But let's just go to the fourth quarter. The Jets were driving the ball, go right into that. On the third down play, our quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, threw one of the nicest passes to Garrett Wilson. I guess it was on the left sideline. Was that it?
Right
sideline. Yes. It was just gorgeous. And the funny thing is, 2 plays later, he throws another pass to Mike Williams, who made a phenomenal catch.
That's his game. That was
the game.
Yeah.
That was the game too.
It was a great pass, a great catch. I feel great for Mike Williams because I think he was able to get in. And that was so big because then 2 plays after that, Braylon Allen had his second touchdown. This time it was a run. I'm telling you, this guy gets ahead of steam. He looked great. So give me a reaction for those 3 plays, Ralph.
Well, the Mike Williams play, that's classic Mike Williams. That's his game. And, many more, hopefully, where that comes from. I'd like to see, still we haven't gotten to the tight ends yet. Rodgers hasn't thrown to them. He didn't even target Wilson that much today. I don't know if it was because he was getting doubled or he just didn't seem to have time. He never seemed comfortable. The Jets did give him really super clean pockets, like everyone else in the league seems to get at least a few times every game. The Braylon Allen thing, I really love the guy. He's deceptively fast and quick, and his quick feet. And like you said, Marty, when he gets up ahead of steam, nobody wants to get in his way.
Right.
I think he's going to be a huge factor for the rest of the season.
I hope so. Ray, your thoughts on those 3 plays? We're talking about the pass to Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and the touchdown run by Braylon Allen.
Well, Garrett's made nice catches pretty much in both games that were classic Rodgers, either back shoulder or a little high over the defender's head when he's not ready for it. And then the thing I like about Garrett is he can make these moves and get some extra yards after. Mike Williams, I'm just glad he finally got involved. It was just 1 catch, but it's a start. And I still, I don't feel any differently about Lazard. Quite honestly, he's becoming more of the offense, but he's catching the ball. So that's the big difference from last year. And then Braylon Allen, both his TD runs were awesome. And he got a yard when we had a 3rd and 1, I think twice. So, that tells you right there, quit running Breece Hall up the middle and let Braylon Allen do that. And I think he's going to become more and more of the offense. And I do think at best we will, this is just looking ahead. At best, we're going to franchise Breece. I don't think we'll sign him long-term, or we'll let him go. And Braylon Allen will be the main guy on the offense pretty soon.
And Ralph, Ray's very modest because when I gave my 5 points, he added Braylon Allen's got to see the ball more. So that was a good one, Ray. Good for you on that.
I keep saying Ralph's the one who, after we drafted him, I was like, I don't know if I'm high on that one. And Ralph started talking about him, so I started watching more about him and how he was in the preseason. I was like, wow, this might have been the steal of the draft.
Yeah. But anyway, we're ahead 24-17. They get the ball back. They're running the ball. Levis had another 12-yard run. Levis had a 5-yard run. There was a pass incomplete on 2nd and goal. And then the biggest play for the defense on 3rd and goal, Will McDonald had a sack. And that was a wonderful
It was
play.
a big time sack. Now, look, I have a question for you guys. It looked like he grabbed him by the back of the collar on that one.
It was the side, but I don't know if that makes a difference. But I thought if they're in the pocket, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If there's a different.
Yeah, it might be different. Something tells me that them being in the pocket is not considered the same thing, because
Maybe they don't want to grab him when he has a full head of steam down the field. Yeah.
Which, by the way, that was the other thing Chuck Clark did, was a picture perfect horse collar.
Yes.
If you ever want to know what one's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And he also got another penalty for a helmet on helmet.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we can pick up these. Ray, before you came on the air, I gave Marty a trivia question. Who led the Tampa Bay Bucks in tackles today?
Whitehead?
Yes.
We go through Ashton Davis. Now we go through this guy. I hope this guy Isaiah Oliver had a couple of tackles. I hope he turns into something. Otherwise, we're in trouble. But anyway, on the last play of the game, I'll be honest with you, my son bopped in the house and he said, "Why did he throw it in front of the goal line?" And I was more nervous when I saw the ball bop out. I thought someone was going to
pick it up.
Yeah, I know.
I said, "Oh my God, let him catch and just tackle him on the 1 or 2."
Yeah, because he wasn't going to get in the end zone if he caught it.
Yes.
I say that, but then watch, he would have somehow broken 2 tackles and waltzed in. But
I think he was under pressure, Levis, and he's still young. But I've seen teams have tried to do that. I remember that's how actually Tennessee ended the Super Bowl 30 years ago against St. Louis.
That's
tried to get him in. He almost did, but yeah, it's tough because I'm sure the Jets were like packed in the end zone. But knowing the Jets, something fluky was going to happen. Believe me, that was the most shocking play for the game, that they actually got away with it.
Yeah, I like going back. I forgot to mention, we were talking about his bad play, Levis. Did you read Callahan's lips when he came off the field?
I didn't, but I know he said, what did he say?
He said, like, "What the F are you doing?" Just like last week. I mean, it was like everyone in the country saw it. It was great. So anyway, 24-17, as we say, a win is a win. And I always refer to, like, if you get a bunt single in baseball, it looks like the same thing in the box scores. If you hit a line drive, it hits the outfield wall, and you only get one base out of it. Couple of things. I just want to go through a couple of Jets stats. Aaron Rodgers, 18 for 30, 2 TDs, 176 yards, 98.7 rating. He never looked really comfortable in my mind. He made those 3 incredible passes, but I think he will improve on that. I think the offensive line was a little bit better. Breece Hall, 14 carries, 62 yards.
Mainly on 1 run.
Right. Braylon Allen, 7 carries and 33 yards. And we didn't talk about Garrett Wilson had a end around for a first down.
Right.
I mean, that guy is full of moves. It's incredible.
He really should have been caught behind the line on that one.
He got around the one guy and made it something.
Receiving, Garrett Wilson, 4 for 57. Breece Hall, 7 for 52. Braylon Allen, 2 for 23. Mike Williams had that 1 for 19, a tremendous play. Lazard, 2 for 11. Conklin, 1 for 10. That was a good play. I think they got a first down on that play. And Ralph's guy, Malachi Corley, 1 reception, 4 yards.
I'm so bummed I missed my over.
The over-under was what, 1.5?
1.5, yeah.
That might have been the only play he was in the game. I don't know.
I
But
know, so he's like 1 for 1. The guy's very productive when he's on the field, huh?
all right, let me just mention on the defense, Jamie and Sherwood had another solid game, 12 tackles, 8
Yep, I'll have to give him his due.
and Ralph and Ray, he looked fast. His lateral.
I was
Yeah.
okay with him. I'm a little concerned going forward with, if Mosley's out for any time, but
I'll say this, Sherwood probably is a better pass defender than
Mosley.
Mosley. Yeah.
Yeah.
he is faster, no doubt about that.
Yeah,
And Quincy Williams, he really was all over the place.
9 tackles, 8 solo.
Couple of pass defenses.
Brandon Echols, I thought he had a solid game. 5 tackles, 4 solo. Will McDonald, great game. 4 tackles, 3 sacks. We only saw 2, but one of them was a key part of the game. Chuck Clark, 4 tackles, but he was awful. Queen Williams, 3 tackles. Michael Carter, 3 tackles. I don't know how he played. Must have been better than last
He
week.
wasn't bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And Javon Kinlaw, 3 tackles, but as Ralph said, he looked like he had more of a physical presence today. Tony Adams, only 3 tackles. He led the team last week in tackles. I thought he was
made
very good.
plays. He made plays, not
Yeah.
not necessarily tackles, but he made some plays. So I was really happy with Tony Adams.
Right. Yep. Solomon Thomas, 3 tackles and 1 sack. I thought he was very good. Irv Charles, 2 tackles, and they were both for losses, if I remember right. Well, they were special teams. You can't say for losses. Sauce Gardner, 2 tackles. Jermaine Johnson, 2 tackles. Isaiah Oliver, 2 tackles. And that's all I'm going to read. Michael Clemens, 1 tackle. And that's about it. And nothing really much from, let's see, Xavier Gibson. Did he have a reception? I don't think he did. He had
No, a lot of punt returns. So, yeah.
punt returns, but that's it.
I
So
thought they did some kind of play to him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of punch. I thought did they give him a little end around or type of thing?
I don't recall.
I don't think-
This offense will open up by week 12 or something like that. They'll start taking advantage of these
yeah,
the other players.
I don't think they did. Okay, so anything else? The Jets win 24-17. They're at 1-1. The Patriots lost, and we know Thursday night the Bills beat Miami, and we don't know what's going on with the quarterback. I'm just looking now. The Bengals.
A lot of 1-1 teams. The Ravens were the best record in the league last year. They were 0-2. The NFL is tough. The 49ers, who kicked the Jets' ass last week, are 1-1, right?
Yeah.
Ralph, you want to do a couple of shout outs?
Shout out to Sam Darnold. Maybe he's finally getting it after 6 years. It took Geno Smith about 9. Maybe Zach Wilson another 4 years from now will be saying the same thing. It just goes to show you how you really need patience with quarterbacks. They ruin quarterbacks by rushing them. Baker Mayfield is becoming a really good quarterback now. Cleveland fans must be really delighted in their situation. They give up Mayfield and they get this disaster, the biggest disaster.
More or less ran him out of town. They wanted him, thought he was the problem. And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. The year before, the year before his last year there, he got hurt his shoulder. And he was playing with a hurt shoulder the whole year. But before that, he took him to the AFC Championship.
They just have the expectations for young quarterbacks are just way distorted. And shout out to Todd Bowles, former Jet coach, who's doing a heck of a job with Tampa Bay at this point. You just don't know in this league. Arizona destroyed the Rams today. Arizona could have beaten Buffalo last week. They're a team that nobody has on their radar, and they look pretty good. So there's no givens in this league.
Two things I want to ask you. I mean, how bad are the Panthers? They lost 26-3.
That is a disaster. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what an absolute
Speaking
disaster.
of, quarterbacks, do you wish they had that first pick over, do over on that first pick?
And I was watching a bit of the Giant game. I was switching back and forth. Again, I think he's going to be good. He's going to be better. But Jaden Daniels, I don't know about putting him right in there. He looked good to me, but I agree with Ralph.
Was he running a lot? Because he ran way too much last week and he was getting beaten up.
He ran. He looked effective, but he also threw the ball fairly well. And the other thing is, I guess Trevor Lawrence lost his 2nd game in a row.
Yep.
To the Browns.
Real close games, but.
Yep. It
No.
doesn't matter. So, all right. So we're going to close it out. We're not sure when we're going to do a preview game because it's a short week. If we're going to do a preview show, but we'll figure it out. So
We're
anything-
better because they're not going to play the game until we do our preview show. You know that.
Well, the coaches want to hear what we have to say. They want
that's-
to hear Marty's 5 points.
Because then they're going to do the exact opposite, right?
how they get the game plan. Yeah. It's still going to be run, pass. Anything else you want to add to the excellent Jets victory, 24-17? Ray, Ralph?
Well, all I can say is it was ugly. I don't have confidence in the team, but they're 1-1 like half the league. And, you know, take it from here, get better each week. You know, at the beginning of the season, I thought this Patriot game was a gimme. There are no gimmies for the Jets right now. They're not good enough for a gimme, but you feel like they're opening their home schedule. They'll come out, you know, really pumped. I mean, that's my hope and my feeling, but who knows with this team?
All right. One last question. Jermaine Johnson looks like he's out for the year. Gun to your head. Ray, does Hassan Reddick ever play for the New York Jets in 2024?
I'm going to say they're going to, well, see, the problem for me is he wants more than a 1-year deal. If it was a 1-year deal, I'd say, yeah. I still don't think they want to give him 3 years, but
How about two? You think they could settle
I
on
think
two?
if
I'd
they
take
give him
that.
2 and an
And
option
third.
on the third type of thing,
Yeah.
maybe. So yeah, I think if he's willing to bend a little bit on his demands, and I think they will eventually get him signed. I don't think he's ever going to get $30 million a year, but I think
so
he's going to bump up from where they are.
you think he will be a Jet this year? I do too. How about you, Ralph?
Well, now that Jermaine's gone, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Douglas can't be fooled by Will McDonald's 3 sacks. He's a specialty guy at this point, and they still need someone else because Michael Clemens stinks, and Pat McKinley hasn't shown anything yet. I have more hope for McKinley than I do for Clemens.
Yes.
And
Of course. Of course. Yeah, absolutely. All right. For Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, Marty Schupak, we'll be on the air eventually. Just keep checking. Until next time.